Good to go, Terry Weezy.
Yeah. Are we waiting for Kellie?
She said she was going to be late. She couldn't make it at 7.
Oh, okay.
So I guess we'll see her at halftime. All right, well, let's get started.
Boom shakalaka.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. This is the podcast for the worst ones, such as us, preacher's kids. We're PKs. Yes, we are. We're PKs. How about you? I know that doesn't rhyme, but you understand where I was going. My name is Rudy Wilson. I am a preacher's kid. Terry Weezy is in the building. He's a preacher's kid. Rihanna is in the building. She's a preacher's kid. And Kellie Leezy should be joining us at some point during the episode. We did have to film a little early this week because I have a hard out for a show because I am in Miami, Florida currently. So, how's everybody doing? I just told how I was doing, so we don't have to ask about me at the end. Because that's all I really got going on. I'm here. I'm thugging it. I'm loving it. You know, God is good. Terry Weezy. How you doing?
Getting by, slowly and surely.
Gotcha.
Still honeymooning?
That's what I was about to say. How's marriage life? Time around?
The same as it was before. Okay. I told her, I was like, nothing really changes. That's what I've learned because she'd already been living here for more than a year. Said nothing's gonna really change. It's gonna be a fun time and a nice day and you'll have some more rights and legal stuff, but I told her, I said we were already married as far as I was concerned. So
gotcha. I ain't mad at that. What about everything else? What about work, comedy, anything else?
I'm starting to wind down on all that because we're moving in March 10th. Right. So
gotcha.
It's really just becoming about that now. So.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a fun move.
Nah.
Is it mountains like near where y'all stay?
Yeah, well, Nashville is technically right next to the Smoky Mountains. So
okay. Yeah. Gotcha. That's lit. That's what's up, man. Yeah. Definitely whenever we do another year anniversary shoot, breakfast, whatever, it's definitely gonna be at your crib. Because I like mountains. I fuck with mountains. You know what I'm saying? They're just fascinating to me. So any place that got mountains, I want to do. So yeah, I'm pulling up.
Okay.
Yeah, man. We'll make it
happen. What's good about Nashville? It's a cheap flight because it's a hub for a number of airports. So for a number of airlines. So it's all usually a pretty cheap flight.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. But no, man, congrats on everything you got going on, man. Your marriage, your move, everything, man.
Mm-hmm.
You're making it happen, Cap. Making it happen.
If you say so.
We'll even throw this up again. Still there. Still there.
Oh, there it is. All right.
Congrats to Terry and Miranda. All right. Rihanna, what's popping?
I'm good. Happy Black History Month.
Hey, first day of the month, you feel me?
I'm good. Back in school, so we're back trying to get that honor roll status.
Gotcha.
Work's going good. I have a couple of speaking engagements this month, so I'm a little nervous.
Speaking about what? Like this is church? What are you talking about?
No. So on Sunday, I'll be recording a podcast called Motherhood in Progress.
What?
No.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means somebody's been a sinning. That's what it means.
No.
Okay.
A little sin.
No. I'm going to talk about my fibroid journey, which is why I was off of our podcast for the past
Gotcha.
6 weeks. So, no, I'll be talking about fibroids and pregnancy and fertility and stuff like that on that podcast. And then later this month, I will be on the Georgia Tech alumni panel talking to undergrads and some grad students about careers after school. So
okay,
this will be my second time doing it. I'm shocked every time Georgia Tech asks me to do something, but I'm very thankful for the opportunity. So
you're in lineage now. You the great Dexter Rowland's daughter now. You know what I'm saying? And then you went in there and put your own little, high academia on there. You know what I'm saying? Like you that Rowland name hold weight in old tech. So
I'm just saying, I'm thankful they asked me, but I'm always shocked. They asked me.
Don't be shocked. You belong there. You all right?
Remind me, what did they do to your thyroid? They just take it out?
Yes, they removed my fibroid.
Did you ever talk about it?
Yeah,
I thought we did.
I think we did.
I don't remember you. I know we've talked about it, but I don't remember it being a thing like when you came back or whatever. Maybe I'm just forgetting. Okay, I don't know. Maybe it was on.
Well, I don't know. Well, I had my fibroids removed. Okay. But yeah, I had 9 removed. So yeah, they took them out.
Yeah, my sister had her thyroid removed. She had
not
thyroid.
Fibroid with the F.
Oh, fibroid. Oh, okay.
Yeah, my brother got his steroids removed.
No, she had her thyroid removed. She had thyroid cancer. That was the one that was on the show.
On the podcast, right.
Fibroid with the F. But yeah, so I'm excited about this month. And also, man, when Kellie comes on, we might not have time. Beyonce, announced her world tour today, and we and her were supposed to get tickets to go. So we need to discuss.
Gotcha.
You better hurry up. If it turns out like that Taylor Swift thing, you're gonna be.
Well, they're doing like a lottery situation.
Yeah, that's what they did.
So we'll see. I don't know. But yes, I'm sure Kellie would be excited to talk about Beyonce.
Yeah.
Right.
You better be Johnny on the spot. You want them tickets.
Right. All right. Well, like I said, I'm in Miami. I'll be here. I was here yesterday. I'll be here tonight. I'll be here tomorrow. I'm leaving Friday morning. Headed back to Tampa.
Since you're in Miami, go to a place called Sandwich.
I'll catch it on the next go round.
Fine.
I'm coming back in March, so I'll catch it.
That's the best Cuban sandwich in Miami.
I believe it.
Is that Sandwich? Yeah.
I believe it. It's just this particular trip. I'm just so tired of even that's why I was telling Janessa, like I was literally putting on my shirt as I sat down because my day has been consumed from since I woke up this morning until now. So yeah, I just probably won't have time to stop this trip, but definitely when I come back, I'll make it happen. So, all right,
for your own benefit.
For my own benefit, right after Lizzie. All right. Let's get into the topic, shall we? Terry Wayne, take it away.
Should pastors be able to use their church fame to promote their side gigs, side hustles, and entrepreneurship?
And you're saying if they got their fame from the church first, and then they're using that notoriety to then build up, just say, their name in another arena, whether it was an author, whether it was a podcaster.
Podcast is what I was thinking. Yeah. Like, let's say, let's give a good example here. Let's say you got a pastor of a church, right? Let's say 2,000 members, right? Big church. But he's also like an avid hunter, right? And now he's got a hunting podcast. Should he be able to promote that through the church if it has nothing to do with God or religion or his congregation? Because, I mean, pastors do it all the time. They'll write a book and then, sell it at a church or
but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Like, is it so much about selling it to just say their own congregation, or is it building up fame, just say even through ministry but then you do other things. Because like, just say like a TD Jakes, at least, and I don't know how he got well known to anybody else, but to me, I knew him first as a preacher. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know him as a author or a movie producer. Like all these things, at least in my perspective, came later. So he did just say, in a sense, use notoriety that he gained from being in ministry to then write books, and then but he's not selling them directly to his members. Like it's his notoriety is it's worldwide. So like he's selling them to whoever knows his name inside his church or out inside the body of Christ, if you will, or out. But then at the same time, there may be somebody who just say is a singer. They have a hit song, they get a Grammy, whatever like that. But we didn't know this entire time they was also a pastor. Now all of a sudden, this person has notoriety from singing. It could be gospel music, but they have notoriety from singing. But now their church blows up as a result of it. You feel what I'm saying? So like,
yeah.
So I'm saying like I don't know if one is better than the other, but I guess at least in my opinion, I think it matters how you go about it. Because even if, let's say, if you taking all the church's money and then also selling them your book, that's one thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying literally taking the church's money. Like yo, I need a $2 million salary to be the pastor. You know what I'm saying? Even though we only bring in $5 a year total. And I need, it's required if you're a member here, you got to buy my book. If you're in leadership, you got to buy 10. You know what I'm saying? And you got to teach a class on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you kind of like going that extent, it's a little bit more extreme then. But if you literally like are like preaching the word of God, doing all the right things, whatever like that, your name just say gains a buzz around it. Like just say like, what if Jesus wrote a book back in the day? Like he known for all his healing and stuff or whatever, and then he had them wrote a little scribe, and that shit would have sold because people are like, yo, Jesus was the man. I mean, of course the Pharisees hated him, but there was a lot of people who fucked with Jesus back then. So like they would have, you know what I'm saying? They probably would have popped the book. So I'm saying like,
pretty sure he did write a book.
I'm naming a lot of different scenarios, but I'm just the point that I'm getting at, and I'll shut up, is TD Jakes definitely just say did what you're saying to a certain degree, if not even just to a higher degree. And I personally don't see anything wrong with what TD Jakes is doing. And this is me also looking on the surface level. I don't know what his salary is and all that from the church. I have no idea what that is. I'm just saying, just from off the naked eye, looking from the outside in. But he's been preaching at least 30, 40 years. He's been preaching my whole life. He's been TD Jakes my whole life. Like I've never known him to be anything but this preacher that was on TV since the 90s. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you can sustain that, and I ain't never heard no scandals on him. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never heard no, him cheating on his wife, whatever like that. And whether it happened or not, I'm saying it never came out. So the point that I'm making is, you're talking about somebody with a clean record who appeared to at least be doing all the right things, preaching the word of God, preaching to the masses, all the stuff like that. If that person writes a book, I think it's inevitable that his or her notoriety from their ministry is going to help them make sales. Like it's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? Because you have a following. He sell tickets to MegaFest. People gonna come because he has a following. Even if we don't go to his church, people still gonna come because we follow this guy, even though I still have my own pastor in my local whatever.
Well, I mean, that's why I liked using that analogy in the beginning. Right. Is something completely divorced from religion and God and spirituality and everything. Like, I was thinking more because, I mean, what you're describing is done all over the country every day. Like, every, I wouldn't say every pastor, but a lot of pastors write their own books or write their own stuff, and then they'll offer it to their congregation, or they'll go visit to another church and sell their stuff there. And I mean, that stuff happens every day. So I'm thinking more like, if we're going to have a good discussion about it, maybe we should talk about maybe some of the, like I said, side projects that don't have anything to do with that. Is that okay? And that's why I use the analogy of like what if a pastor's really into hunting and he's got a hunting podcast? He's like,
But does-
hey, after
but
every
does-
sermon, he's like, don't forget to listen to my podcast.
But I'm saying, does it have to be unrelated to God or whatever just because because just like I'm thinking about, like TD Jakes made movies, you know what I'm saying, and they weren't necessarily a church movie. Like it wasn't, a bunch of preaching and like then people cursed, use profanity, whatever, whatever. Like they were regular people, but the messaging behind it may have been like abstinence or whatever the case may be. But these are still regular people, and some of these people who ain't practicing abstinence, they may not necessarily show a sex scene, but there's a lot of insinuations that this person definitely has had sex, or we just had sex, or just got done. Like you seen Jump in the Broom, she woke up from, the long night or whatever the case may be. So, and this is in a TD Jakes movie. You feel what I'm saying? Like the purpose behind it was she didn't have sex again until she got married was the whole thing. But it wasn't a preachy movie. It didn't, where they got regular Hollywood stars in it. It wasn't, what I'm saying, like a bunch of, gospel singers that he tried to force act, to act or whatever. Like it was a regular movie. And once again, going back to the hunting podcast, maybe this preacher is like, yo, self-sustained, know how to go out and get it just in case, the grocery stores, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like there's always a way that a pastor can kind of make it helpful just because it's not spiritual, if you will. You feel what I'm saying? And I think if
right, but
that's not necessarily a selfish side gig. Now, if you using the church's name, and people may not even look down on this, but I kind of do. If you're using your church fame and you got, a fried chicken restaurant, you know what I'm saying? That's actually fucked up because now you killing the members. You know what I'm saying? Like now you
I don't think that's true.
just to feed them some
that's
bullshit.
that's
Rudy.
I'm saying,
okay. First of all, ain't
realistically,
nothing wrong with fried chicken.
What in the world?
No, but I'm saying you got a fried chicken restaurant, like you got a Popeye. I ain't saying you got options. Like you selling like the hard grease bullshit, and you selling it to your members and to other church for whatever like that, awful because you pastor such and such. That's a bad thing because you making people, you added on to people's health issues. Believe it or not, like I know that's like kind of silly or whatever, but
yeah,
that to me, I would think God would look down on that as opposed to a hunting podcast. To me.
Hey, ain't nobody made you go in there and eat that chicken. First of all, second of all,
but it's pastor such and such. He a bit, you know what I'm saying? He popping. He probably got a little commercial. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I don't, to be honest, I'm wary of any of it.
Right.
Even, no matter what it is, only because, prosperity brings money and money brings corruption and corruption brings, ruin.
Right.
Wherever there's money, there's always somebody bending a moral here or, backsliding there, always making an excuse for, well, I can do good things with this money.
Right.
There's always a good excuse.
So you're completely against it. I'm sorry, Janessa. I just want that for real quick. But you're just saying no, like the pastor.
I didn't say no. I said I'm wary of it.
Okay.
I think that any business opportunity that a religious, leader gets into, they need to be very, very careful because there's nothing in this world that's got more landmines around it than money.
I got you. I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
Carry on.
I was gonna say, we've talked about some of this before, like pastors, ministers, have bills too. And even if they were to write a book, there's still, fees and monies that need to be collected to cover the publishing or the printing or marketing, whatever. I think where I start to get a little weary, and I've seen a few pastors do this, they'll build their ministry up and they will have, a large following in ministry, and then they'll have a podcast, and then they'll have a clothing line, and then they'll have a journal line, and then, then they'll have a whatever's next, a book club, and then they'll have a books,
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of starts to pile.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's like,
it's a bad look.
With all this money that's being generated, and now some of these pastors, are buying $1 million homes and cars and designer clothing and stuff like that. And so now, you just start to wonder, and it kind of goes back to the conversation we've had before. Can ministers have nice things? But it just kind of starts to wonder, are you doing all these different ventures because you genuinely want to impart the wisdom of God on people,
right?
Or are you just chasing after a bag, or have you set yourself to a standard of living that now you got to keep it up, so you got to keep coming up with businesses and tours and whatever, book clubs or whatever, to sustain your lifestyle. And I don't know, some people may have that high level of income, wealth, business, and still have a very, humble and 10 toes down relationship with the Lord. That might be true, but I think we've seen more people than not do the opposite. The more they get more money and assess power or whatever, they kind of go the other way.
Question to you, Janessa, and this, Terry, you can answer afterwards, whatever. But does it matter if, just say, whichever came first, the chicken or the egg? So let's say, like, if I was an entrepreneur who got called to ministry and became a pastor, like, and I just say continue on with that while still doing whatever the pastor thing is. Like, even just say if I could do a preaching engagement, like, I get paid for that, or whatever it is. Like, I just add that to, just say, the income, the repertoire, whatever. Is that different than the person who's a pastor, just say, builds his or her notoriety, if you will, through, just say, ministry in whatever form, in mainly pastoring, and then from there, because they've now saved 100,000, 200,000, whatever, just say over a couple years from their money, they start investing in stuff and whatever, and then start doing the entrepreneurship thing. Like, is one, I guess, better a situation than the other, or are they equal? Because once you become a pastor, you should not be involved in, just say, the entrepreneurial grind.
Hey y'all, sorry to interrupt, but we have a few church announcements. Follow us on Instagram at The Worst Ones PK. New content coming soon. We also have a TikTok at The Worst Ones PK. No content yet, but continue to check us out. If you want to, when you listen to our podcast, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. So make sure you type in The Worst Ones Podcast and you'll find us. And when you get there, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and you share. Thank you to our 500,422 followers. We love you so much. Now, back to the show.
I think they're both kind of in the same boat to me, to a certain extent. It's a heart check thing. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, it's a heart check. Like, what are you doing it for? Mm-hmm. I don't know what that point is. I don't know what that dollar amount is, but I think it's the same either way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's
gotcha.
Okay.
What about
you? I think it always comes back down to motivation. If making, I know about books, and making books ain't that expensive, and you can do it. There are ways you can do it where you don't have to put anything down, and you just you collect a percentage. But if you say write a religious text and you want to get it out to the people and you want to change people for that, and you say, okay, well, I'm just going to charge what it costs me plus maybe $1 or something or whatever. It really depends on your motivation. But again, whenever money comes into the mix, it's real easy to get caught up in that. Real easy.
But I guess, well, where's the balance? Because, like, let's say, like, if God actually gives me something God actually gives me something to, what's up, Kellie Lee? If God actually gives me something to write in a book, in a novel, but I'm also aware of, just say I gotta, like Kellie Lee, just say she a pastor homie of mine, right? We pastors at different churches, but she's another pastor in Atlanta. I'm a pastor in Atlanta. I know for a fact, and I ain't saying she did it for the wrong reason. I'm just saying the part of the story is Kellie wrote a book. Kellie made $40 million off her book, right? And I don't know the exact numbers, but let's just say to make 40 million, I'm gonna use a very small number, so this isn't real, okay? But to make 40 million, you had to sell 100 copies, right? So if God gives, now mind you, I'm not saying right after Kellie wrote her book, but just say 7 years later, God showed me something about my story or my journey, whatever. It was like, yo, this, lays into my heart, yo, this would be a novel. I think it goes without saying that I'm definitely going to be aware, like, yo, if I actually follow through with what God gave me to write, I could potentially sell 100 books too, and also bring in $40 million. Now, I think that's going to happen regardless. I think where the heart comes in at is why are you so excited about making the 40 million? Is it because you like, yo, I can finally get that jet, you know what I'm saying, that I always wanted? Or not only I can start setting up generational wealth stuff for my own personal family, but the church got a roof leak, or whatever got a, you know what I'm saying? And then you start thinking, and I'm just making up stuff because I can't think of other scenarios, but if you I think that's where the heart check is, like, what's your intention once you get the money? Because I think everybody has an intention on making money. Like, nobody is using their gift that God gave them for the sole purpose of it only being, like, just say uncompensated. You know what I'm saying? Will you do it at times uncompensated? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But if you're talking about a gift that you're putting, a lot of time into, and God gave you to use, whatever case may be, like correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody's doing it their entire stint for absolutely no compensation, and more specifically monetary.
Some people do, but
not for the entire stint.
Oh yeah, we call them priests.
Nah, it's still compensation. I was gonna say it may not be monetary, but it's still compensation. Okay. I guarantee you, the priest isn't getting $0 with also having to pay $2,400 mortgage and a $650 car note. And what, like, it's still going to be compensation. If I'm not paying you money,
church supplies all that for them.
That's my whole point. It's still compensation. That's my whole point.
Oh, okay.
They're not going to do that and have to then pay for room and board and all that other type of stuff with also not getting any income. That doesn't even mathematically make sense.
Well, you have to live somewhere, so the church gives them somewhere to live.
I understand.
And priests actually do get paid. They just don't get paid a lot.
I'm not saying, I'm not putting a dollar amount on it, but what I'm saying is nobody is using their gift without thinking about the compensation, is my whole point. People even give tithes because there is a reward for it. People ain't like because the Bible teaches that, like, people want the pressed down, shaking together, running over. They don't want running over.
I think you might have missed the plot.
They don't just want, they're not just giving the 10% just because it's the right thing. Like, it's the right thing, but then God is also going to, praises go up, blessings come down. That came from people having that automatically mentality of compensation. So I'm saying, I think that's a natural response, especially when it comes down to the gift God gave you. Like, even if you're working for free for a while, you're still going to be working towards being compensated for it, doing it full time, making this your life's purpose. I want to be fully compensated for what it is that God gave me to do. Like,
yeah, but it's bugging me because you keep saying the word "no one does it." What about Buddhist monks? They reject all worldly goods. They reject everything. They don't want your money.
They're still provided with somewhere to stay, somewhere to eat, all the needs, right?
No, they just do it together like a commune. They build places, they live in them, they farm their own food. Like, yeah, there are people in the world who are so devout into what they believe that yes, they give up everything. And there was a guy who did that too. They wrote a whole book about him.
But they're also not leading people though. They're just that's something just amongst.
No, that guy led a bunch of people.
No. I'm saying if you're amongst that's building and doing all this stuff together, that's one thing. As opposed to if you were talking about a pastor of a church who's, like Janessa brought up as far as bills and stuff, who's dealing with a building that you have to pay for and stuff like that. Like that's going to be a different mindset automatically.
They have that too. It's called monasteries. So I'm just saying, you can say nobody does it for free, and you're wrong about that. There are people who do it for free, just not in Florida.
I said, I'm saying the point I'm making is when pastors are doing these things, whether it's preaching, whether it's singing, whether it's whatever the case may be, like even if they're so righteous that they're only thinking about their reward in heaven, that is still a level of compensation that you're still desiring. You feel what I'm saying? Like because ultimately there is a reward for what it is that I am doing, whether I get it here on earth or whether I get it in heaven. Like
if they really believe, then they shouldn't even want it here on earth, because as we all know, Scripture says.
Neither here nor there.
Scripture says the further in line you are on earth, the further back you'll be in the line in heaven.
Right. You're gonna have to put that scripture up. But
I will.
The point I'm making, and ladies, you guys can talk, because I know we're doing the Rudy and Terry show. I apologize. But Kelly, if you need us to catch you up, we can where we're at. But basically,
she's on mute.
Yeah, I thought she knew that. But So, but basically, like there is some level of compensation that people are looking for. So once again, the point I'm making is I don't think it's about wanting to be compensated. I think it's ultimately why you want the compensation that you want. Like, what are you trying to use it for? Is it for selfish gain, or is it for, something that remains, just say in a something of pleasing in God's sight? I'm done. I'm sorry.
If you have more than, it's just, look, if you're going to take on a flock like that, you got to put the flock above yourself. So if you have a Mercedes and there's a elder in your church that doesn't have a car at all, you got to look at yourself and said, well, I could have driven a Honda and bought him a Honda for what I paid for this Mercedes.
So what if there's 20 people who don't have a car and you can only afford to buy, just say you and one other person, the Honda? Do you then go ahead and get the Mercedes and then a church bus? That way the 20 people got a ride still, and you still got your Mercedes, or do you have to still get the Honda, or you get no car and you buy 6 Hondas and let them split it? Like, what's the line of when you can take care of yourself versus taking care of somebody else with what it is that you?
Well, what do you mean by taking care of yourself? Because you don't need to. Nobody needs a Mercedes to live.
Well, some Mercedes ain't that expensive. I don't know why we're using that as the bar, but
whatever.
But
it's a slow fade. Nobody wakes up an alcoholic just one day. Nobody becomes a drug addict overnight, and nobody becomes Joel Osteen overnight either. It's what you're saying is you're saying that the ends will justify the means. You're saying it doesn't matter how you make this money because you've got plans to do good things with it. But the thing is, everybody always had, no, I'm saying in the best case scenario, like I'm going to do something good with this. And that's where everybody starts. But once the money starts coming in, what did they say the root of all evil is? The love of money. So now you get a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's when corruption, come on, man, I listened to you the whole time. And that's when the corruption starts. That's how you get there. It's a slow fade.
But you can make a lot of money without loving it, though.
Yeah, that's true. But if you didn't love it, why do you want it?
But I think that's the whole purpose of what we were talking about. What's the purpose of you wanting the compensation that you're getting? And I think that's what matters, because you can have a lot of money and not be an evil person. That don't mean you're in love with it, because you're doing the right thing.
Well, I look at that guy. Has anybody ever seen this this guy on YouTube, Mr. Beast?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mr. Beast is a young guy. He's got a YouTube channel. He's had it for, over a decade or whatever. He's the largest YouTube channel on the platform. He literally his channels make like 1.5 to $2 million a month. And do you know what he does with all that money? He gives it away. He gives it all away.
What kind of content does he create?
Nothing, nice content for the most part, just silly stuff.
He recreated Squid
Game, yeah. But he funded the one. I just watched one the other day. He funded 1,000 eye surgeries for people that couldn't afford it, so they wouldn't be blind.
So his content is showing you how he uses the money that he gets from YouTube.
Some of it, yeah.
Okay.
Some of it, and he's giving money out. He's one of these guys that'll just walk through Walmart and then go up to, I know that was one of his bigger things before, was he'll walk up to somebody in Walmart and say, I can give you $1,000, or you can pick somebody else and I'll give them $10,000.
I've seen something to that effect.
Yeah, and if they pick somebody else, he gives them both $10,000.
But that doesn't mean he's giving it all away, because once again, he just may not show his luxury so that he's not flaunting and being just say disrespectful or whatever.
I've watched whole things on it, whole people. There have been people. Listen,
you don't know his entire bank account and what he.
You're right. I understand that, but there are cynical people just like you who set out to try and find ways to tear him down because
no. It's not about tearing him down. I'm saying he's doing the good thing, but it goes back to my question of what's the balance of taking care of yourself. Just because he's giving away the tens and thousands of dollars to the different scenarios doesn't mean he doesn't have a Ferrari at home. He making a
He doesn't.
But I'm saying no. Listen to my point.
Okay.
You can do both. Is my whole point. I guarantee you. He has enough money to do both. This man has 131 million subscribers.
Right.
He has enough money to do both. You feel what I'm saying? So it doesn't make him a bad guy if he had a Ferrari and was giving out just as much money that you know that he gives out.
Right. But his whole philosophy is I don't believe in that. I don't believe in hoarding.
But you believe in showing everyone that you give money out. So I guess what's the purpose of that?
And that's true. And I knew that was going to come up. But he's doing it to continue the channel so that he can continue to do the stuff. So yes, there is an ends to a mean. I mean, there is a means to an ends there, and you can say, just like a lot of people, just like Rudy started out by saying, maybe I want to make all this money so I can do all this stuff. But so many people start there, idealistic and wide-eyed, and as soon as the money comes in, things change.
I think that's true. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But that guy's giving over $100 million away. That's
it's beautiful. And my thing would just be the purpose of recording it. Mm-hmm. Is the purpose of recording it so everyone can say, so he can say, hey, everyone, look at me. I'm giving out money to people at Walmart or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Or is it a hey, look at me, I want you guys to act in the same fashion, because I don't, excuse me, I don't know if he started that trend, but I have seen other trends where, right, I can give you $10 or I can double it and give it to somebody else, you want to stay or double it, or what, like I've seen that. So I don't know with his amount of subscribers, if he's the one that kind of started that trend and the purpose was other people catch on and do it and you guys give and do, something similar, or is it a more selfish of, hey, you guys look at me, I'm doing good for the world?
Well, I only found out about this guy a couple of years ago, but I started following just because I want to help, even that one subscription or whatever. I think at least I'm trying to do my part at least to put more of that influence, more of that money. Because I honestly believe, and I'm a cynical dude, I'm always looking for who's trying to screw me over. I have never seen somebody that I actually believe is just trying to make the world a better place. That's it. Because he could. Like I said, he's given over $100 million away. He could have quit a long time ago and had enough money to live 10
But he
lives.
wouldn't have had
But
$100 million to give away.
With 131 million subscribers, he has well over $100 million.
Oh, I know that.
But he wouldn't have had. He had stopped.
What do you mean?
Right. So had he had stopped, so you made the point of
He could. It doesn't matter. He could have stopped at $50 million. You can't spend $50 million in your lifetime unless you go absolutely ham. You know, you can't live any kind of wealthy lifestyle and spend $50 million unless you're buying super yachts and mega mansions and shit like that. And you would. And I just look at the juxtapose to that here's this 20-something-year-old kid that has made all this money and just turns around and gives it away. Yeah, just gives it away to people and honestly feels like he's really just trying to make the world a little better. And then I look at somebody like Joel Osteen that made all that money and turned people away during the hurricane from his church, you know?
You know, but there's also movie companies and studios that'll spend $700 million just to make a film.
Yeah.
They'll make billions of dollars off of it. And when the hurricane comes, their number ain't even available to call.
Well, but they're not saying they are.
But what I'm saying is, but we're talking about humanity. Like you don't think that you know any of these studios could have enough money to house people. They have houses on the freaking movie.
I agree.
Like so, I'm saying, but
they're not claiming to speak for God either.
Listen to me. I'm not excusing pastors or whatever the case may be, but what I'm saying is across the board, it is like. Once again, and this has nothing to do with excusing pastors. I'm saying, but across the board, all people do is compensate, and don't think, and they only think about the smaller person. To Kelly's point, when it's still beneficial to them, when it's a tax write-off, when I can get it on camera, because even if I don't have it on camera, there's still a group of people who know because somebody took pictures at the event we was at. You know, my taxes was able to be written off by whatever the case may be. So like, there's I'm sure there's a lot of people who never take a video who's probably given more than $100 million. And then there's people who, you know, who may do stuff on video that isn't really realistic and, you know, and trying to just pull the rug from underneath us. Like we can never really know. We can only go off of by what they give us. And this man has given you the content to show that he's given $100 million, right? So we have no reason not to believe it. But all I'm saying is I don't think he's a bad person. I don't think he's giving away. Even, let's say he's showing it because he wants everybody to follow suit and now make all their YouTube content about giving away money and being just as generous, whatever. Let's say he's the perfect guy, whatever. He can do all of that and still drive a Ferrari. That's my whole point. Like he can
okay.
So what I'm saying is, so it's that doesn't make him a bad guy. You now, if I said that same thing about Joel Osteen, you would think me and Joel Osteen was going to hell because you don't think Joel Osteen could give away $200 million out of his own bank account and still drive a Ferrari.
He ain't never done anything even close to that.
I didn't say he did. The point I'm making is that when you think about certain scenarios, that anybody who fits in that category is now pinned in that category for you. And my whole thing, the point I'm making is case by case. I don't know Joel Osteen's personal finances, but if you feel like he's a piece of shit, okay, we can stick with that. But that doesn't mean that every other pastor who's just as rich as him or who had whatever the case may be is the same piece of shit like Joel Osteen is in this particular scenario. Because there are pastors who can just say what like T.D. Jakes did. He used his notoriety to put out books and put out movies and stuff like that. And we bought him because we knew who he was from preaching. Does that make him a bad guy? I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? And once again, I don't know what he did with the money he made from the movies and the books. I don't know if that bought his house. I don't know if that paid homeless people. I don't know what it did. I didn't check for it. You feel what I'm saying? But the point I'm making is, does that automatically make him a bad person just because I'm unaware of what he did with it? I don't know. I don't think so, because I think the obvious things when you're saying like, okay, I'm going to come up off the church just to do something that's totally unbeneficial. I know y'all didn't like my fried chicken scenario, so just come up with another in your head. But the point I'm making is it's something completely unbeneficial. I get that. That's the obvious thing. But if you are writing a spiritual book. Like, and this book is literally, and it ain't gotta be super spiritual, even if it's just helpful. Like, it's helping people, you know, change their mindset about how they spend money and saving finances and all that other type of stuff. Like, if somebody invests $23 in that novel, but then, you know, 6 years from now they're able to, you know, save six figures because they spending habits changed and they no longer in debt like they was when they bought the book. To me, I don't think that's wrongdoing of the person who sold that book.
Go ahead, ladies.
I missed the last part. I was looking up TD Jakes' house.
I was looking up. I was looking up Joel Osteen's net worth.
Oh my God.
I did. I'm sorry. You talking about TD Jakes? I wanted to see where he lived, and so I missed.
I bet it's big, man, especially in Texas. He probably got a lot of land too.
Yeah, it says, and of course, this is just Google. That he owns a 14,000 square foot slice of heaven in Fort Worth. He purchased the mansion for $5.5 million in 2004.
Oh, he really came up.
Yep. It sits on 17.8 acres of land.
Oh wow.
He got he got that
Joel,
like $5 million back.
and by the way, Joel Osteen, his net worth is estimated at $100 million, the same amount that kid gave away. So, how interesting is that?
What's Mr. Beast's net worth?
Hang on here. I'll find out.
Is it Beast or B?
Beast.
No, Beast.
BEAST.
Okay.
Yeah. Trust me, if you search Mr. Beast on YouTube, you'll find him. He's the biggest guy in the world on that platform, at least. No, but see, what I find confusing is that I bring up that kid just to show, like, hey, there are people that care more about others than they do about money and possessions, and you automatically try to tear that down.
Nobody tore that down.
Well, no, hang on. Yes, you did, because of what? Oh, well, he's probably still got a Ferrari or whatever.
All I said is he can do both.
I understand. I was just simply trying to illustrate the point that it's a little disheartening to see a ultra successful YouTuber doing more for average people, doing more for his community, doing more for the. Hang on, man. God damn.
But that's what you
doing more for the unfortunate than the pastor of a mega church like Joel Osteen.
You don't know that.
Actually, I do know that.
You know, so you watch all you know everything Joel Osteen do with his money. Everything.
I know he's got the same amount that kid gave away.
Do you know everything he did with his money? Yes or no? Do you know how much Joel Osteen has given away? Do you know?
Yes, I know down to the penny. I know exactly to the penny.
I'm saying
how much he has spent on gas this year.
I'm saying the same way you have a number for Mr. Beast. Do you have a number for Joel Osteen? Can you say this is how much he spent on whatever?
Hang on, and I'll try my best. Well, I'm not as fucking accountant. But I know he's not famous for giving away money. I know he's famous for locking his church during a natural disaster when people were trying to get in just for shelter because their houses were blown down. I know that.
This man literally.
I know a snake. I know a snake when I see one. I know that.
You know one instance about him. Name something.
I know that if heaven exists and I get there, I'll be in front of him in line. I know that.
Name something that besides locking the church. That's the only thing you ever name about Joel. So name something.
Because it's okay. Well, you mentioned the jet. He's got two of them. He's also got like an $11 million ultra mansion in Texas as well.
You think that what does that have to do with him doing something wrong to people? I'm saying, what did he do wrong to people besides locking?
Personally, I think it is wrong. I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong for a pastor to have an ultra mansion. I think it's wrong for them to have a jet. Yes, I do. I do. You can't lead a flock and be a wolf yourself. Okay? Because that's what it takes to manage and keep that kind of money. Not just to get it, but to keep it. Because I've known a lot of millionaires and billionaires in my life, and trust me, the one thing that somebody with money fears is not having money anymore. They're afraid more of that than death. They'd rather die.
Are the millionaires and billionaires that you know personally, are any of them pastors?
Nope. No.
So
None of them are pastors.
How are you
That's right.
speaking so definitive on millionaire pastors?
I can speak for myself, sir. If you think I'm wrong, then just say I'm wrong.
No, I said that 80 podcasts ago. The point I'm making is that I'm saying you're speaking definitively. Like you're saying like every pastor is like this or whatever the case may be, and you don't even know any personally or know their business personally to say that. It's
okay. I didn't know Whitney Houston, but I know she smoked crack. I don't need somebody to point that out to me. I don't have to be personally, intimately involved with somebody. I didn't know OJ, but I know he killed his wife. You know?
But you don't know Mr. Beast, but you know he gave away $100 million because this was all public record. What I'm saying is
because all I've got is my opinion at this point. And yes, it is public record because tax records are public record and they can be subpoenaed. But guess who doesn't have to file taxes? Guess who's protected against that? Pastors and churches.
Well, also billionaires.
No, billionaires still have to file taxes.
Oh, okay.
They just don't pay taxes.
That's what I just said. They don't pay taxes.
But they still have to file them.
Oh, well, if you're not paying it, what's the difference? You ain't losing money.
A public record.
Hey, man, you know a lot about something you've never experienced. That's all I'm saying.
What do you mean?
You've never been a millionaire pastor, nor do you know one. But you're just saying everything from just.
I've never been to Africa, but I know it exists. You don't have to personally experience something.
You literally just compared apples to sunflower seeds. Just then.
No, I didn't. You said I have to either be a millionaire pastor or be intimately involved with somebody's life who is a millionaire pastor for me to understand anything, and I don't. I think there's a lot of corruption, and I think there's a lot of people greasing their palms, getting where they want to because they're in love with that money. And the Bible told you so. So, I mean, you want to argue with that? Argue with that.
I'm saying you're saying it from the outside looking in. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So it is your opinion, which I don't mind, but you just speak so definitive. I just think it's kind of harsh on people that you don't even know. Like you don't know.
I guess. I think there should be a cap on how much pastors can make, because if you're not paying taxes, because the reason why churches don't pay taxes is they were founded. They were supposed to be a community service. So now we have these old world tax laws that are allowing them to not pay taxes on anything they own, not pay taxes on their salary or their wealth, because they're supposed to be a community service. And then you got people like Joel Osteen and Creflo Dollar riding around in, $20 million planes, so they don't have to do anything, so they don't have to ride with commoners. And you're telling me they don't need to pay taxes, but they can do that? Like, come on. It sets a bad example, and it turns them into heretics. It literally turns people away from God because of their selfishness and their extravagant lifestyles. Because nobody wants to see when they're struggling, nobody that's struggling to get by and looking for faith and going to their shepherd looking for faith and going, hey, sorry, the jet's taking off soon. I got to get out of here. When they're just trying to scrape by, just trying to feed that family. Nobody wants that. You think that doesn't turn people away from God and the church? Come on, man.
Well, I think we know what Unclaimed Ashes 2 will be about. All right. Yeah. Kellie Lee.
You don't know what Unclaimed Ashes 1 is about.
Well, I didn't buy the book. I never claimed to.
I know.
Well, I own Unclaimed Ashes. but
I know, and you don't know what it's about neither.
But I own it. But you said
you do own it.
You said that you followed Mr. Beast just for that, for that follow to help him out. I bought that book.
That's right, and I appreciate you.
Exactly. So if you want to find me,
and Terry, if you buy a fucking jet off that book money, I'm suing your ass.
Kellie
need half that jet.
I never get it. I would never do that. Never.
And she can't get home from work because she spent the 23 on your book.
Right. So at Princess Kells 51, it's private. Excuse my tardiness, but love you all.
No, you weren't tardy. We had.
I was actually right on time.
I explained earlier. We had to start a little earlier. So this
thanks, guys. It wasn't me.
Kellie, whenever you arrive,
I wasn't at the basketball game.
Whenever you arrive, it's the right time.
Oh, well, thank you, Terry.
You can find me at JRihanna_. We have fun over there. That's it.
Double underscore, not just.
Oh, double underscore. That's right.
And you can find me at eattherich.com. No, I mean at Terry Wayne Comedy on all social media platforms.
You really should change yours to I hate Joel Osteen.
I really do.
/
I really, really do. Because he didn't make that money. Oh, and Unclaimed Ashes is the book on Amazon now. Get a copy and then read it. And you'll know why I say the things I say.
Unclaimed Ashes too about all the pastors you're gonna burn. That's you send into hell.
No, I think the congregation should do that. Yeah, because they didn't make that money by working in a coal mine or coming up with a new, all right, syringe or something. They got that money.
I gotta go. I gotta go. We get it.
Took that money from people.
We get it. We are the worst ones. Y'all have a blessed week.
Top of the world. Top of the world.